Hi, I'm Chase. In this episode, we will talk about basic call center metrics and their formulas. The main purpose of a call center is to be accessible to its customers. Therefore, the first target in the call center is to meet the customer calls. The reports received from the central show how much this target has been achieved. The main formula used is the answer rate. As seen on the screen, the answer rate is the ratio of the calls received in a time period to the incoming call. The inverse of this is the abandon rate formula. The abandon rate formula shows the rate of customers leaving over a period of time. If the number of abandoned calls of a call center with an average of 1,000 calls per day is 40, then the abandon rate is 4%. The abandon rate is a typical measure of call center performance, but it is not totally under the control of the call center. Aside from the average waiting time in the queue, abandonments are also affected by factors such as the customer profile, customer tolerance, customer requirements, alternative channel options, or the time zone. There is actually no standard for the abandonment rate in call centers. But in general, sales call centers have more ambitious goals of capturing and holding all calls. Average speed of answer, or ASA in short, another key performance indicator, frequently used in call center, is the average speed of answering calls. The formula used to calculate the velocity is called the ASA formula. The time spent in the IVR system is not included in the average speed of answer. ASA does not give the exact time to wait to receive service from the call center. Also, abandoned calls are not included in this formula. Don't miss this blind spot. Make sure abandoned numbers are checked as well, even if the average speed of the answer seems reasonable. If you are still faced with high customer abandonment rates, then you need to improve it. Average time of abandonment, or ATA shortly. ATA is the amount of time that the customer waits before ending the call. ATA is used to monitor the customer's tolerance for waiting. It is also useful when setting goals. At certain time zones, the customer's tolerance may be less. In that period, the customer can hang up immediately without waiting in the queue. This data is also considerable when preparing the shift. Average handle time, or AHT. Also used as average handling time. It refers to the average duration of an entire call transaction. In other words, it measures how much time agents spend completing customer calls. This time covers the phone call time, holding time, and post-call processing. In some call center operations, before call work is also used. In that case, this duration is also included in the AHT. After call work, or ACW. After call work refers to the tasks that an agent must complete after a call, such as updating the system, saving the contact information, routing the back office, planning the follow-up. After call work tasks depend on customer problems and solution requests. There is no measure defined in the industry for an ACW duration, but it is a measurement that affects average handling time, so it needs to be closely monitored. ACW should be measured and evaluated in certain time periods, and it must be followed by the agent as well. As ACW requirements for different calls can vary significantly, comparisons between agents need to be made over similar calls. After call work must be determined by the type of call. Measuring ACW by time of day provides a different perspective. During peak hours, ACW times also increase. Usually during busy times, agents use this time to take a break. However, misused ACW can disrupt the workforce management of the operation. It is important to apply the right management policies at such times. Agent occupancy. Agent occupancy is calculated by dividing the representative's time spent on talking by the number of hours in the scheduled shift. Let's say a representative spent 5.5 hours of an 8-hour shift by speaking. The usage of this agent that day is 5.5 hours divided by 8. That is 69%. Active waiting calls. Active and waiting calls is a metric that measures how well teams are handling call volumes in real time. It provides agents and call center managers an idea of instant performance. It is formulated as seen on the screen. Service level. Service level is one of the most common metrics in the call center. It represents a reasonable customer hold time for the call center. Shows the percentage of calls answered at the defined standby threshold. Service level is usually measured for every half hour. It is monitored at 15-minute intervals in larger call centers. Service level is a measure to monitor the overall call center performance. However, service level is directly affected by call times and staff availability. Cost per call, CPC. Cost per call is a KPI that reflects the financial value of the work performed in the call center. It is calculated by dividing the money spent in a certain time period by customer calls. It is a KPI that a call center managers often use to evaluate performance within the call center. The formula is calculated by dividing the total cost of the operation by the total number of calls. Hold. Hold is the amount of time a customer spends on standby, even while speaking. The rate of calls on hold and daily hold usage times should be analyzed on an agent basis. The main purpose of the call center is to ensure that customers receive service without waiting. To achieve this goal, it is very important to follow hold times. Why the customer is put on hold is a critical issue and it must be carefully examined. Customers never want to wait. Whether it is agent's lack of knowledge or a technical reason, it is necessary to know the cause. Staff shrinkage. Staff shrinkage is defined as the percentage of time which employees are unavailable to answer calls. Rostered staff factor, also known as RSF. First of all, the minimum number of personnel to be in a shift is determined. Then, in order to reach the targeted service level, the number of personnel who are not on the shift for the breaks, trainings, illness, etc. is determined. To close this personnel gap, additional personnel should be recruited. This staff ratio is found using the staffing factor formula as seen. RST also refers to the amount of inefficiency and lost profits associated with scheduled personnel. First call resolution, or FCR. First call resolution measurement is a difficult one. We cannot get an accurate result from a single channel. The main formula is the ratio of calls resolved on the first contact to all calls. Thank you for watching our episode on basic call center metrics and their formulas. Hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.